She had no right to command, and yet she changed the war. The story of Joan of Arc is remarkable not only for the course of war she altered, but for the manner in which she did so. She was neither Marshal of France nor Commander-in-Chief. She belonged to no military aristocracy and inherited neither rank nor authority. In the 15th century, such distinctions were decisive. Command was rooted in rank and authority in lineage. Yet into this system stepped a young girl from Domremy and appears for a time to have set it in motion according to another logic. In the spring of 1429, following her meeting with Charles VII at Chinon, no formal transfer of command occurred. The king did not and could not simply place the army of France in her hands. Such an act would have been inconceivable, particularly in favor of one without title, rank, or recognized position within the established order. Yet something more consequential took place. Charles VII permitted her to proceed to Orléans, furnished her with an escort, admitted her into the army, and acknowledged her exceptional standing. What she received was not an office, but something less visible and more potent: trust, translated into effective authority. Even before this, Joan had made clear that she would not remain a merely symbolic presence. In March 1429, she addressed a letter to the English leadership, commanders, soldiers, and archers alike, demanding that they abandon the occupied towns of France and withdraw from before Orléans. She ordered them to return to their own country and warned that, should they refuse, they would soon hear from the Maid to their great harm. This was not the language of supplication, but of intent. Around her stood some of the most experienced captains in France: Jean de Dunois, one of the principal defenders of the city; La Hire, Étienne de Vignoles, Jean Poton de Xaintrailles, Gilles de Rais, the Marshal of France, Jean de Brosse, Seigneur de Boussac, the Admiral Louis de Coulon, Ambroise de Lorey, and others of distinction. Here the essential point emerges. None of these men was formally obliged to obey her. Each possessed his own command, his own troops, and a degree of autonomy. A medieval army was no unified instrument, but a composite of royal, feudal, urban, and mercenary forces. Even the king did not command it with the coherence of a modern state. And yet, on the field of war, contemporary evidence suggests a notable shift. Those who possessed the right to command by birth began to heed one who possessed no such right at all. Joan did not remain a silent figure within the host. She is reported to have intervened in decisions, challenged experienced captains, and urged action where others inclined to caution. In the early stages of the Orléans campaign, she reproached those who had chosen a safer route against her counsel, asserting, as Dunois later testified, that the guidance of her lord was surer than that of any earthly commander. This episode indicates not a decorative presence, but a figure willing to contest established authority. On April 29, 1429, Joan entered Orléans alongside Dunois and La Hire. She stood not apart from command, but within its active circle. The subsequent operations unfolded rapidly. The capture of Saint-Lô on the 4th of May, renewed demands for English withdrawal on the 5th of May, assaults on the southern bank of the Loire on the 6th of May, and, on the 7th of May, the decisive attack on Les Tourelles. It was there that she received her wound. According to Dunois, an arrow struck her between neck and shoulder. Carried from the field, she nevertheless returned. As he considered withdrawal, she asked him to wait, withdrew briefly in prayer, and then reappeared at the ditch bearing her banner. The assault resumed. Les Tourelles fell. This episode is significant not merely as a display of personal courage. It suggests something of the nature of her authority. Dunois remained the professional commander. She did not replace command, but appears to have influenced the resolve of those engaged. The sources do not permit us to imagine her as a general in the modern sense. Her authority operated differently. She was present, visible, and immediate. She carried the banner, appeared where resolve faltered, and imposed discipline of a moral kind, insisting upon confession, restraining vice, and seeking to order the army not only in arms but in spirit. In the conditions of a medieval host, this was not incidental, but formed part of her broader effect. Her greatest influence appears to have lain in restoring morale before victory had been secured. For years, French forces had endured defeat, siege, and division. Orléans was not merely a city, but a point of decision. Her arrival coincided with a marked shift in morale and momentum. After the siege of Orléans was lifted, Charles VII sent forth the Duke of Alençon, Dunois, and the other captains, and Joan among them. She was not placed in supreme command. She was placed within the active circle of those who would carry the war forward. The Loire campaign extended the momentum of Orléans on a considerably larger scale. French forces recovered the initiative. English positions along the river fell in succession. Alongside Joan, Jean II, Duke of Alençon, emerged as one of the campaign's leading military figures. Formally, overall command rested with him. In practice, contemporaries observed that he consulted Joan and treated her judgment with marked seriousness. On the eve of the engagement, Alençon asked Joan what should be done. Her reply has been preserved. Good spurs would be needed, not for flight, but for pursuit. The English line broke. The pursuit began. The battle was decided. Patay was of immense consequence. English military dominance had rested for decades upon the discipline of the long bow and the careful choice of ground. The same tactics that had brought victory at Crécy, Poitiers, and Agincourt. At Patay, the French army witnessed something it had not seen in a generation: the English in retreat. After the Loire, the road to Reims lay open, not merely as a geographical advance, but as a political one. Without coronation, Charles remained a claimant. Joan grasped the importance of the coronation and pressed insistently for the march. On the 17th of July, 1429, Charles VII was crowned in Reims Cathedral. After the coronation, her position deteriorated with some speed. War yielded to politics, to negotiation, caution, and the calculations of a court that was already thinking beyond the battlefield. Joan remained what she had always been, a person of action, pressing for the campaign to continue. The priorities of the court increasingly diverged from her own. On the 23rd of May, 1430, she was captured by Burgundian forces near Compiègne. She was moved between fortresses, sold to the English for 10,000 livres, and taken to Rouen. The English grasped her significance quickly. Her letters were not petitions, they were warnings. To the English side, she had become not merely a prisoner of war, but a political and religious threat. At Rouen, it was not only a young woman who stood trial. It was a symbol they were determined to destroy. Those who had fought beside her did not come. Dunois continued the war and later testified on her behalf at the rehabilitation proceedings. His respect for her evident and on the record. Of La Hire, no reliable evidence survives of any organized attempt at rescue. No army appeared before the walls of Rouen. The war was fragmented. Armies depended on resources, orders, and shifting alliances. The explanation is not simple, but the fact is plain. On the battlefield, she had not stood alone. In captivity, she did. In 1456, the nullification trial was completed at Rouen under the authority of Pope Calixtus III. The process had been initiated through the efforts of Joan's mother, Isabelle Romée, supported by Charles VII, the Inquisitor Jean Bréal, and authorized by Pope Calixtus III. The original verdict was overturned. Joan was declared innocent. She carried a banner through war. In the end, she asked only for a cross. She was 19 years old. They burned her body. The ashes were cast into the Seine. It is impossible to know the full extent of Charles VII's private thoughts in later life. Yet by the time the rehabilitation trial began in 1455, the king could no longer separate his crown from the memory of the girl who had carried him toward it.
MERUTTA.com